Good morning, my friends. I hope you're doing well today, boys and girls. Got my coffee here, and I thought we would make a dragon's eye. This will be really fun. I've never painted a dragon's eye before, but I thought it would be kind of fun to do. So what you're going to need for this video is, of course, a surface, either paper or a canvas. You're going to need your pencil. You're going to need some brushes. I have a big brush because we're going to paint the background one color. A round brush, flat brush, whatever you got, okay? That can get a big surface. And we're also going to be using some green and white paint, okay? Now, I don't have water right now because we're just going to be painting these colors straight, so we'll just use a different brush for each one. I'm probably going to use my round brush for the white, and I'm probably going to use my flat brushes for the green, okay? And we're going to paint a background surface, and then we'll have a little bit of a break and let it dry, and we'll come back and I'll show you the painting colors that you're going to need for the next part, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is just draw our basic eye. It's kind of like a big almond shape, and you can set it off to the side. You can put it in the very center, but I think it looks kind of cool to have it off the side a little bit. So we're going to start over here like it's the face. And we're going to imagine that there's this whole other dinosaur dragon guy, okay? So let's draw this dragon eye. We're going to draw kind of like an arc, almost like a low rainbow, and then another low rainbow on this side. And then we're going to make sure that he has a lid, an eyelid. So we're gonna go there, and then we're gonna make this spot around by just sort of mimicking our lines, okay? And then the center part is gonna be the slit where the eye is like a lizard eye. We're going to imagine that the point is here. So we kind of fake it, and we kind of come down here like this. And we're going to draw that slit. Ooh, I went kind of out of the kind of wiggly part there. I'm not used to working on a tabletop easel, so it's a little different for me. Okay, so we've got our eye. And then we might add in later with paint, put some eyelashes on there or something interesting, or maybe some spikes that go on the outside. So I don't know, we could draw them in, I guess. We're going to imagine that our dinosaur has some spikes. Okay, some can be big, some can be small. I have mine all about the same size. Okay, and that's all the drawing that we have to do to start our painting. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to get our palette, and we're going to dip into our green. Now, I'm using tempera today because we have gone through a lot of acrylic. So I'm using tempera, and I'm going to paint the background of my canvas all this dark regular green color, okay? And we're going to use that as our base. Now you can just use the big brush and fill this place with green paint. Pretty simple. You can use the edges of your brush if you want, or you can go back in with a small brush, whichever you feel more comfortable with. But I'm going to try to get the majority of it with my big flat brush. And that's the thing about flat brushes, you can use them to help you out. Brushes are tools, and when you learn how to use your tool correctly, it helps make your job easier. So I'm just doing all kinds of swishy swashy. You could, you know, come in here and give it some texture. And his eyelid, boy, I'm hitting my camera with my tall flat brush. Well, I better change brushes here. This is going to be funny. I'm trying to put my camera close enough so you can see really well. We're just going to get all in there and fill that space with green. We will make the eyelid part green too, but I'm going to use a smaller brush for that. And that's when we can come in here and do these spikes. Now, you can make your spikes green if you want, but for right now, let's get that background done. And we can make a decision about that. I thought the spikes might be kind of cool to do green with another color mixed in, so we'll see. So you can come in here and you can apply some texture if you want in the background using your paintbrush by just adding a little bit more paint, just giving him some spots that are even more thickly applied. Okay, so here is our dragon. Now you could also make your dragon. You could also make your dragon a different color if you wanted him to be a blue dragon or an orange dragon. It really doesn't matter what base color you pick. So you can do a different color if you'd like. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to stop there with our green, with our big brush right now. And then we're going to get our round brush. And we're going to come in here and get these details. So we're going to draw in these details really fine. And you can do some little splatty things like this with our detail round brush. After you lay in those lines, make sure that they're cleaned up, and then you go into your texture, okay? So do this first. We're just getting around those lines pretty good. And now we're going to take some paint on our brush and we're going to do some smaller little dabs. We're just dabbing to make almost the look of scales with our paintbrush. Isn't that cool? I like the way that looks. We're going to kind of angle it out from the eye like this. Now, if you want to go ahead and add some yellows in there, you can, but I think I'm going to wait for just a little bit before I do that. But we're going to lay that texture in first. Don't be afraid for it to be a little bit thick, because it really gives it a nice look. It's making quite a bit of noise as I tap this. I also have some construction going on behind my house today, so you might hear some banging. The construction workers are building a new building in a place that's behind my neighborhood, and so it's a little bit loud sometimes. But they're working very hard, and I'm glad they're working. I'm glad they're building things and creating, because building buildings is creating too. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but it is. It's creating in a different kind of way, building a structure. Ooh, boy, that's making a lot of noise. Sorry about that. I don't know how to make that any better. I didn't really want to tape my canvas to my board, but Okay, so we've got our texture laid in. Okay, now what I want to do is come in here and maybe just lay the slightest bit of green in there. I'm going to put just a light bit of green, and I'm going to leave a little white space just so I can see the different parts of my drawing. Okay, so it's going to look a little different right now. But this is still lizardy skin here, so we need to make sure we get it green. I'm going to follow those lines that you made. And on this part, you could leave it untextured for right now. Some of the texture we're going to paint, we might paint with other colors to give it lights and darks. Maybe adding in some white or blue or yellow. Okay, so let's go back and repaint that line. Now we're going to do this one. Nice and thin. The application on the eyelid will be pretty thin, just so we can kind of see where our lizard eye is. We don't want to lose it. A lot of times when you paint, you lose your drawing a little bit. So we're going to paint in such a way that we don't lose our drawing underneath. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so that's done. Now we need to switch to another brush, and I'm going to use a round brush again. I have a different round brush that I'm going to use. You could just rinse yours out if you want. And we're going to leave the center part unpainted because that will be black in our next step, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and lay on a foundation of white right here. And the reason is because when we paint with yellow paint, sometimes yellow paint doesn't have the brightness. A lot like we did in our owl painting where we did the eyes. We want our eyes to almost glow off of the page. So what we're going to do is put a white layer down on the canvas because we want all of our surface actually to be painted. We don't want to leave any surface unpainted. That's just good craftsmanship. Okay? Craftsmanship is when you do artwork, you do your very best and you make it look nice and finished. Try not to get into your green too much. It's okay if you get a little bit in there. And it's okay if you go over like I did. I'm just going to take my finger and clean that right up. See how I did that? All right, now you can even make some textures in this white. Just a little bit if you want to. We don't want it to be too thick because we are going to paint over it. We want it to dry. Okay, so for right now, we are going to stop. You're going to take a break, finish up your background layers, and then you can turn the video back on for the second part, okay?